People are building robot animals. Why, you ask? Well, you're about to find out, I say. These are 20 amazing robot animals that will blow your mind. Number 20. Bionic Ants Robots. Think you're not replaceable in your workplace? Think again. Our future workforce might be 3D printed bionic ants, and there might not be anything you can do about it. Now, we all know that ants are nature's army. They all work together to achieve a common goal, even when they face challenges and adversities along the way. They're also no stranger to self-sacrifice. A German engineering company, Festo, was intrigued by the tenacity and work ethic of ants and decided to harness their power with bionic technology to revolutionize future workforces. Yeah, we're in trouble. Festo developed a swarm of bionic ants robot insects, which are around the size of human hands. They then programmed them to mimic their real-world counterparts to complete tasks like moving large objects, which they can do together, but not alone. According to a press release by Festo, the bionic ants function similarly to their natural role models. They can communicate with each other, coordinate movement, and solve tasks as a networked system. It's both extraordinary and terrifying at the same time. Oddly enough, the bionic ants also look like their real-life counterparts, since they have 6 ceramic legs set within a 3D printed plastic body and pincers that they can use to find and grab objects. Like this video, smash the subscribe button and click the notification bell right now, or this centipede will crawl on your face when you're sleeping. Now, it's time for the odd topic. This robot panther looks like something straight out of Wakanda, but this is a very real prototype for a machine that engineers are working on. The panther will have cameras in its face, and the whole point is that it'll track wildlife while disguised as a real panther, allowing us an ever more intimate glimpse of the animal kingdom. Incredible, right? As always, let us know your thoughts in the comments section down below using the hashtag #OddTopic. Number 19. The Crabster CR200. Autonomous underwater vehicles and propeller-driven remotely operated vehicles are good for many things, but what they're not good for is managing the strong tidal currents in shallow waters. And that's where the Crabster CR200 comes in. The next time you decide to take a dip in the ocean, don't panic if you see a massive 6-legged underwater robot that looks like a crab. It's just a new underwater vehicle developed at the Korean Institute of Ocean Science and Technology. We all know just how important underwater vehicles are for search and rescue missions, marine research, and deep water exploration, but they aren't always able to get where they need to be due to strong currents. Researchers decided to take what they knew from legged sea creatures and fish and create something that could overcome these barriers. And that's how the 1,322-pound Crabster CR200 came to exist. It's 7.9 feet long, 8 feet wide, and 6.5 feet high, and it's capable of exploring ocean floors on its 6 legs with 30 joints. The robot's front legs have manipulators so that it can grab objects, and its shell is designed to deflect strong currents. While it takes 4 people to operate the robot's manipulators, cameras, lights, walking, and posture, it can stay in the water for up to 4 days, meaning it has great potential in various industries. Number 18. Petoe Nibble, the cat robot. Pet ownership can be incredibly rewarding, but not everyone's in a position to own a pet, or they're simply not allowed to. But you don't have to abandon your cat ownership dreams altogether. Instead, you can purchase Petoe Nibble, the robot companion cat. Petoe Nibble is a highly programmable open source that you can teach to do all manner of things. While a real-world cat would probably ignore you and do their own thing, Petoe Nibble makes your every wish their command. The robot companion cat can play, walk, and emote. You can also teach it new commands and experiments on a platform called OpenCat, where there are many downloadable options. Petoe Nibble is essentially a 3D puzzle wooden cat with a whole heap of advanced technology. It has a screw-free interlocking puzzle frame, distance sensors, OpenCat framework, a swinging tail with a spinning wheel, rubber paws, an elastic neck, and much more. It also has a rechargeable battery pack that, once charged, can provide you with up to an hour of playtime with your cat. Robot technology has traditionally been unaffordable for most people, with some of the most advanced stuff setting you back thousands of dollars. But Petoe Nibble is less than $300, and you can often find it for sale online for just $249. Number 17. A mini cheetah robot. Real cheetahs are fast, and if you've ever seen a robot movie, they're typically quite slow. So yeah, you can see where this is going. Roboticists were like, oh, maybe we can make a fast cheetah robot, and so they did. MIT scientists created a four-legged machine they dubbed the Mini Cheetah, and they developed it so that it could move at 9 miles an hour or 13 feet per second, and they created it in the most unconventional way. Instead of manually coding the robot line by line, they utilized digital versions of the cheetah and encouraged them to run in real-world simulations. Somehow, probably with wizard magic, they taught the virtual robots to run on various terrains without falling over. There were 4,000 simulations of the robot that they taught to walk and then run in all different directions. They then put the digital cheetahs to work on different surfaces of various frictions so that they had all the programmable data they needed to tackle real-world environments like gravel, ice, grass, and pavement. Sure, the way the real-life robot now runs is far from elegant, but it is incredibly fast and stable. Even as it runs across gravel or slips on ice, it can recover from a stumble and adapt if one of its legs becomes disabled in any way. Hopefully, they'll make some large enough in the future so that we can all saddle up our robot cheetahs and ride to work. Number 16. Bionic Opter. German engineering company Festo was onto something when they created robotic worker ants, but they didn't stop there. They decided to use their powers for good and developed the world's largest flying robotic insect, Bionic Opter. Bionic Opter is an ultralight flying object developed with inspiration from the dragonfly, and their efforts have been rewarded with a Guinness World Record. Like the dragonfly, the Bionic Opter is lightweight, can maneuver in all directions, and even hovers on the spot without flapping its wings. For the first time in history, a robot has been developed to handle more flight conditions than motorized gliders, non-motorized gliders, and helicopters combined. As you might imagine, this piece of engineering magic is highly complex. It has sensors, actuators, control and regulation technology, and more, all packed into the smallest of spaces. And it would need to be small, since the dragonfly's whole body is just 17.3 inches long with a wingspan of 24.8 inches. It also weighs just 6.17 ounces and features lightweight materials like a carbon fiber frame, a thin foil covering, and polyamide and terpolymer for flexibility. And guess what? You can control the entire thing from a smartphone. Number 15. Scorpion Hexapod. Because it wasn't terrifying enough that we have real scorpions with real stinging tails, students from Ghent University in Belgium decided to create robotic ones too. They developed a scorpion hexapod as part of their mechatronics design and embedded prototyping course to redesign the Stigmergic ant hexapod robot, which a previous student had designed. Their goal was to create an impressive robot that created limitless potential for interaction and functionality in the future. While they drew inspiration from the previous ant robot, they also fixed a few of its prior flaws and created something remarkable. Their Scorpion bot has a body, 6 legs, 2 claws, and a tail. All components were made with 3D printers, laser cutters, and CNC milling machines. The legs and tail modules were 3D printed, while the ABS body was laser cut. The leg ends, claws, shell, and tail stinger all feature thermoformed polystyrene. Fortunately, the stinger wouldn't inflict pain as a real scorpion would. Instead, it has a red marker pen so that it can leave a much more harmless mark. Even more incredible is that the students designed the Scorpion with a system that would allow for automatic responses to interaction. It can walk in all directions, move its claws, strike its tail, and step over elevated surfaces. As long as they don't start making giant scorpions with real stingers, I'll be happy. Number 14. The Robot Shark. About 51% of Americans say they are absolutely terrified of sharks, and 38% of them say they are scared to swim in the ocean because of them. Pair those stats with the fact that dozens of people are attacked and killed by them each year, and you really do have to wonder why someone would create a robot shark. Is it not scary enough that the real ones exist? But anyway, Chinese manufacturer Boya Gongdao Robot Technology created what is essentially a shark robot or military autonomous underwater vehicle known as the Robo Shark. It's designed to travel at incredible speeds underwater, has a massive payload capacity, and, according to its creators, has a few different stealth features. Apparently, the shark could be used for reconnaissance missions, intelligence, and surveillance. It might also be able to search for objects of interest or be used for communications. The manufacturer even goes so far as to say that it can track underwater targets at high speed and perform fast approach intercepts. Boya Gongdao Robot Technology unveiled their shark robot at the iOceans China 2019 event in Sanya, China, and it was one of many different biomimetic AUV designs being displayed. Number 13. A kangaroo robot. German engineering company Festo dedicates much of its time to designing robots using principles from nature. We've seen dragonflies, ants, and even butterflies, but for a period of several years, they were also working on a secret project. And we now know that it's a kangaroo. An absolutely incredible one at that. The bionic kangaroo is so realistic that if you didn't have your glasses on, you'd probably think it was the real thing. And it's not so much its looks, but its actions that make you believe that. Not only can it mimic the real kangaroo's jumping behavior, but it can also recover energy from a previous jump to put it into its next jump. Real kangaroos do this by using their tendons like elastic springs, and the bionic kangaroo has been built with an elastic spring which charges its legs when it lands. While it weighs just 15.43 ounces and stands at just 3.28 feet tall, it can jump 1.31 feet in the air and 2.62 feet horizontally. Now, of course, it needs a pretty good source of power to pull these jumps off, and it has just that. The bionic kangaroo has a small compressor or storage tank, and both of these manage to provide high-pressure air for the pneumatic muscles. There are also lightweight batteries and a kinematic control system to stop the kangaroo from falling over. Number 12. Robot Snake. Now, at first, it didn't make a lot of sense why we try to build robot snakes. It's not like we can use them to help us out around the house. But if you think about it, imagine how convenient it would be to have a slithery robotic snake to put into small spaces, such as if there's inaccessible building rubble after an earthquake. Rather than putting real animals and people at risk, we can control a robotic one remotely that can show us what we can't see from the outside. And that's kind of what Carnegie Mellon University's Robotics Institute has been working on. But there are many obstacles to overcome during the building process. The snake, or serpentine robots, have multiple joints that must be able to flex and reach. So roboticists have been working on putting actuated joints into a tight volume to minimize the lengths of the stages of each of their cross-sectional areas. Essentially, they want to create a snake robot with degree of freedom joints on top of each other to function just as a snake would. When creating a robotic snake, you can use 3 different schools of design: actuated universal joint, angular joint, and angular swivel joint. The actuated universal joint is the simplest, but it's also quite bulky. Roboticists then tried the angular swivel joint, which features in their JPL Serpentine robot. While this Robotics Institute is still toiling away trying to create an impressive robot snake, you can actually go ahead and build one yourself with a 3D printer. There are online instructions to help you create single and double axis snakes in 1D or 2D. Number 11. Sony Aibo Robot Dog. It was a sad day when Sony put its original Aibo robot dog to sleep after 11 years of manufacturing. But after several years of grieving, you might be ready to welcome the more advanced version of Aibo into your home. Using more advanced technology, AI, and mechatronics, Sony has created an entertainment robot that goes by the same name as its predecessor, Aibo. This time, though, the dog's name's in lowercase for some reason. English teachers everywhere are screaming. Aibo features 1- and 2-axis actuators that allow Aibo's body to make natural movements along 22 axes. These actuators mean that Aibo can wag his tail and ears and move his mouth, paws, and body far more naturally than the original Aibo. There's also a fisheye camera in the nose and one in the rear that both work with sensors to identify and analyze sounds and images. Aibo can even recognize his owner's faces. Thanks to localization and mapping tech, Aibo will quickly adapt to its home environment, and it can entertain you for up to 2 hours with its reasonably decent battery life. The entire dog is controlled with a 64-bit quad-core CPU. The only problem is that Aibo is far more expensive than your average rescue pup, coming in at around $1,750 plus ongoing costs for a support and care subscription. Number 10. T8X Robotic Spider. "There aren't enough spiders in my house," said no one ever. But sure, go ahead and buy a robotic version of one that you can't flush down the toilet or squash with your shoe. If you're unsure of how to get rid of $950, go ahead and buy the T8X Robotic Spider, an eerily realistic robot that looks and behaves like a real spider with delicate movements and 8 terrifying large legs. This spider is entirely programmable and customizable and has 26 servo motors powered by a Bigfoot robotics engine. This engine has very advanced robotics algorithms to help it control all 8 of its legs in the most realistic fashion. As complicated as the robotic spider looks and seems, it's actually rather straightforward to operate. You can provide it with commands on your smartphone, tablet, or computer, and some kind of black magic happens and it'll do some cool stuff. The T8X Robotic Spider is also Wi-Fi enabled, has a touch-based web app interface, comes with a built-in battery charging system and rechargeable battery pack, and you can share the pre-programmed scripts with others. Tell all your friends. You might be able to have some kind of weird spider party. Number 9. A robot jellyfish. It costs a lot of money and takes a lot of effort to monitor the environment, map the ocean floor, and check out what the aquatic life is doing. But who knows how easy and cheap these jobs would become if we had robotic jellyfish to take care of them. In 2013, researchers from the Virginia Tech College of Engineering unveiled their giant, lifelike, autonomous robotic jellyfish that was 5 feet 7 inches tall and weighed 170 pounds. The jellyfish formed part of a U.S. Navy-funded project, and researchers received $5 million for it. They started with an early robot called RoboJelly, which was unveiled in 2012 and was about the size of a man's hand. They followed that up with something even better, the human-sized jellyfish that allowed for more payload, a longer range of operation, and an extended duration. They opted for jellyfish for this project because they consume minimal energy and come in a range of sizes, shapes, and colors. This allowed researchers to create several designs to see which suited their needs the best. Number 8. A manta ray robot. When you watch a manta ray move through the water, it's hard not to consider them one of the most efficient and graceful swimmers. So it was probably just a matter of time before researchers thought they could tap into their natural movements and create a robotic version to benefit us in some way. According to Associate Professors Cho Chi Meng and Yo Kun Seng from the National University of Singapore, manta rays have an unusual propulsion mechanism that helps them navigate rough seas with their pectoral fins. Knowing this, they set about making an underwater robot that moves and looks just like a manta ray so that it could be used for underwater surveillance and studies on marine biodiversity. And then, the Manta Droid was born. This aquatic robot is just 13.77 inches long, 24.8 inches wide, and weighs around 1.54 pounds. But don't let its size fool you, because it can swim at speeds of up to 2.29 feet per second for up to 10 hours. The robotic version of the Manta Ray has polyvinyl chloride pectoral fins, a flat and wide body, and a single electric motor on each fin. It took 8 years to design and build the Manta Ray, and they planned on testing it in a sea environment. Number 7. A robot horse. Remember when kids were entirely satisfied with rocking horses? Most of the time, they were made from wood, and if you happen to see one from several decades ago, you'd know they didn't even look safe. But we've come a long way since those days, and we've now got robotic horses. That's right. In 2021, XPeng developed and released the very first intelligent robot horse. The horse has an innovative body and joint system that enables it to mimic natural movements. It also has a vehicle-level intelligent driving system with LiDARs and external cameras, which help it sense its surroundings, avoid obstacles, and move and follow objects independently. Thanks to incredible AI functionality, the robot horse supports voice and touch, and can even display facial expressions. But before you start thinking about the endless possibilities for using this robotic horse as a way to get you to work, you might notice it's actually quite small. It seems like only children can ride it, but XPeng hasn't released too much information about ages and weight limits. But it might only be a matter of time before they create something big enough for adults, and then some car manufacturers might be in a great deal of trouble. Number 6. Flying robotic insect. French aeronautical engineer Edwin van Rooyenbeek is a clever man. Many years ago, he crowdfunded the Bionic Bird, which was a remote-controlled model that can fly like a real bird and even flap its wings. But after that masterful creation, he wasn't done. He's now gone on to create the MetaFly, an insect-inspired robotic insect. The Metafly is just 0.35 ounces, 7.5 inches long, and has an 11.4-inch wingspan. A mechanical coreless motor with an aluminum heatsink takes care of the wing flapping, and a rechargeable lithium polymer battery powers the entire robotic insect. Charging the battery is pretty straightforward too, since all you need to do is dock it with the 2-channel radio remote control unit. After 15 minutes, you'll get around 8 minutes of flight time. One set of batteries has enough for 15 flights, while a separate 1500 mAh power bank gives you about 20 12-minute flights before you need to recharge it. Once in the air, the Metafly has a range of 328 feet from the remote and can travel at speeds of up to 11 miles an hour. And while it's probably quite pricey to buy, you don't have to worry too much about crashing, since the head, legs, and wings feature durable materials like cotton fiber, liquid crystal polymer, and polypropylene. Number 5. A salamander robot. It can sometimes be hard to understand why researchers, scientists, and roboticists spend so much time building robots. We managed this far without them, but the salamander robot makes a lot of sense. Scientists wanted to understand the evolution of vertebrates, so they constructed a salamander robot with an electronic nervous system, bones, and joints to help them. Known as the Plurobot, it was developed by Swiss Federal Institute of Technology scientists who worked hard to create a robot that could mimic the way the Pleurodelis waltl salamander walks, swims, and crawls. And when you see it in action, you can't help but be impressed by how well they did. They somehow managed to strike a balance between making a simple bone structure and replicating a 3-dimensional salamander's gait. Now, of course, they first had to understand how the salamander moved to copy it, so they took X-ray videos from the top and side and got to work. Although they did cut a few corners. Salamanders have 40 vertebrae, but the scientists made their Plurobot with 27 motors and 11 segments. They said that animal locomotion is a complex process, but modern tools like 3D printing and cineradiography are helping them to understand it better and replicate it more accurately. Number 4. An octopus-inspired robot. The octopus is a highly complicated, soft-bodied mollusk. They have 9 brains and 8 limbs, and a single brain is required to control each of those limbs. So you could just imagine how hard it would be to try and create a robot version of this creature. But scientists gave it a pretty good go. Researchers from the Biorobotics Institute in Italy researched the octopus in great detail and decided to build a soft-bodied octopus robot with 8 arms and a central body with processing units. The front arms are capable of elongation and grasping, while the remaining ones function for locomotion. Even more surprising is that this robot can work in water with nearly neutral buoyancy and can even walk in the water in the same way that a real octopus would. Due to its conical shape and soft arms, it can grasp various objects of different shapes and sizes, and it's more than competent in navigating the many different surfaces it might encounter in a real ocean. I mean, I don't know why we'd need a robotic octopus, but it sure is cool to see it in action. Number 3. A robotic bird. Birds have actually been immensely helpful for us over the years. We've studied how they fly and applied the fundamentals to our own aircraft. But now we've done something extra special. German engineering and automation company Festo has developed robotic birds known as Bionic Swifts. When in flight, it's hard to tell that they're not real birds, and the company's made a whole fleet of them. Their hope is for these birds to become a blueprint for aerial tracking systems that might allow for increased workplace productivity in the future. Festo said they could even be used to find where goods are in smart factories to avoid bottlenecks and speed up processes. The robots are lightweight, just like the real deal, and weigh around 1.5 ounces. Their flyers are about 17.5 inches long, and their wingspan is almost 27 inches. And while they don't have real feathers, they certainly are modeled on real feathers. They have light, flexible foam connected to carbon quills. 2 servo motors, a brushless motor, circuit boards for control, localization, and radio, a gear unit, and a battery are all tucked away inside the birds. It might only be a matter of time before we see these genius creations speeding through our skies and workplaces. Number 2. A robotic fish. Some sea creatures can be so elusive and live in such dark, deep parts of the ocean that we know very little about them. And so far, we haven't explored, mapped, or even seen over 80% of the ocean because it's so huge. But that all might change in the future if a soft robotic fish called SoFi becomes a raging success. computer scientists developed the soft fish to swim alongside real fish, and they performed test dives with it around a reef in Fiji. SoFi was able to swim in water up to 50 feet deep for 40 minutes and handled currents while taking photos and video footage with a fisheye lens. According to the lead author of the research, Robert Kachman from the Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence Laboratory at MIT, SoFi is the first robotic fish to their knowledge that can swim untethered for long periods. They're excited about being able to use SoFi and systems like it to get closer to marine life than humans can. Number 1. The Big Dog Robot. Owning a dog can be hard work. They need a lot of engagement and exercise, and can actually cost quite a lot of money. And on top of that, if you rent your home, you might not even be allowed one. But your landlord surely can't say no to a Big Dog Robot. Big Dog is a quadruped robot that can walk, run, and even carry heavy loads. While they would undoubtedly make excellent companion pets, they're actually used as pack mules by soldiers to carry gear. They can carry up to 340 pounds of weight through a range of challenging environments like snow, water, ice, rubble, and mud. They'll even tackle a 35-degree slope with relative ease. Big Dog is 49.2 inches tall, 39.4 inches long, and 11.8 inches wide. It can travel at speeds of up to 7 miles an hour and would definitely be a helping hand when you don't want to carry a heavy bag over a long distance. Big Dog went under development by Boston Dynamics in 1995 and has been fine-tuned over several years. In 2011, Boston Dynamics announced they'd be making an even bigger and stronger one called Alpha Dog. Are you not quite ready for pet ownership? Are you not allowed pets? Or maybe you just prefer something that you don't have to be responsible for? Well, a few of these robots might just pique your curiosity. If you could have any pet as a robot, what would it be? Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on screen right now. See you next time!